Without much ado, we shall be moving to the next item on the agenda, which is the first panel session. The first panel session shall be addressing the topic Role of Professionals in Tax. Amongst panelists in this session includes Dr. Olanrewaju Oluseyi, Olatunji Abdulrazaq, Olubusola Ajala, Mr. Edem Andah, and Mr. Allu Dogara. This session shall be addressing the topic Role of Professionals in Tax and shall be led and anchored by no other than Oluwaseun Ayansola, popularly and commonly known as Sage. Sage is the founder of Commercially Aware and an associate in the banking, finance, and fintech teams of Oluwaseun Ayansola, a full-service commercial law firm in Lagos. For his work at Commercially Aware and his passion for giving back value, Sage has been recognized as one of the top 21 new establishments of 2019 by Y Niger, and in November 2020, he was nominated for the Future Africa Awards Prize for Lawyers. Sage graduated top of his class at Obafemi Awolowo University with a first-class degree in law and received the Justice Kayode Esho's first prize for professional ethics and skills at the Nigerian Law School. Before joining Oluwaseun Ayansola, he had gained graduate internship experience in the tax teams of KPMG and PwC, to mention but a few. In his spare time, he enjoys mentoring and volunteering.
So, good morning again, everybody. My name is Oluwaseun Ayansola. I am an associate with the law firm of Oluwaseun Ayansola, where I work with the banking, finance, fintech, and tax teams. And this morning, we're going to be having an interesting and engaging conversation. Right from my undergraduate days, I've always had, an interest, a passion for tax and taxation, and I also enjoy the mix of the panelists, representing different sects. Those who come from a finance or purely finance background, those who come from a mix of legal and finance background. We have tax advocates and even tax entrepreneurs, as the case is, and each of them I know will be bringing very interesting perspectives to the conversation this morning. First of all, I should say that as a member of the tax club, a lot of the conversations we had around the role of professionals in tax, and if indeed today, if it can be said that there are enough tax professionals
Can you hear
in the
me?
market. I can, but I don't know if you can hear me. Can anyone hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, excellent.
Yes, I can
So,
hear you.
all right, thank you. So, first on our list this morning, and this is somebody that I admire a lot and does a lot of work around educating and developing the So for the first on my list is Miss Olubusola Ajala. She's a legal practitioner Miss Olubusola Ajala is a legal practitioner with over 10 years work experience in multiple industries, spanning across real estate, oil and gas, telecommunications. She is a performance and result coach. Sola combines both her legal and business expertise in delivering practicable solutions. One of our works is the Strict Legal Business and the Business of Law concept. She's also the founder and director of studies at Strictly Law Business Academy. And Bukola is a self-led discipline and highly motivated professional, and we're very excited to have you on the panel today. I don't know if you want to share a few words before I move on to the next panelist.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. My name is Olubusola Ajala, not Bukola. So I'm Olubusola Ajala, and it's strictly law business, not strictly legal business. But I'm very glad to be here, and congratulations to the team, particularly Olatunji Abdulrazaq, for convening this inspiring conference. Thank you.
Okay, and just for the records, apologies for that, it's Olubusola Ajala. And so next on my list, of course, is Mr. Allu Dogara. He is a human resources specialist with an extensive experience in organizational management. He's highly skilled in record management, monitoring, and data management. His background in human resources management has allowed him to manage workforce environments with exceptional excellence. As a human resources manager, he is a BSc holder in political science, a licensed human resources manager practitioner, and throughout his career, he's demonstrated high level of commitment to the mission of all organizations, and currently also does a lot of work around non-profit and a lot of work around advocacy around orphans and vulnerable children with psychosocial support and adolescent reproductive health. His duty involved drawing up a strategic plan for execution, formation of the budget plan, monitoring, and evaluation of activities outcome. We're very happy to have you join us today for the panel. If you're here, kindly just react, and Mr. Allu Dogara.
Good morning, all my other panelists and other people that have joined this session this morning. I'm Mr. Allu Dogara. I work for Federal Inland Revenue Service for almost 10 to 11 years now, and I'm so happy to join this forum as we discuss some critical issues involving tax environment. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. So next on our list is Mr. Olatunji Abdulrazaq. He's a founder of Tax Mobile Online and currently a director, tax and regulatory services at Nolans Nigeria Professional Services. Prior to this, Olatunji worked as a senior manager, tax regulatory and advisory services at Saffron Professional Services, tax and fiscal reporting, and also served as tax and fiscal reporting accountant at Schlumberger Nigeria Limited. He holds a BSc in accounting from University of Ado-Ekiti, an advanced diploma in transfer pricing from the Thomas Jefferson School of Law, San Diego, United States of America, and he holds a certificate in international financial reporting. He's a member of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, a member of the Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy, and several other professional organizations. We're very happy and privileged to have you on the panel today, Mr. Abdulrazaq.
Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to join my professional colleagues in discussing issues that surround taxation. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thank you so much. And I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So the next on my list, and definitely not least, is somebody that I admire so much, is straddled between being a full-time tax professional with a leading professional services firm, and also served as a partner in a top law firm as well. And I don't know if Mr. Andah is on the call right now. I think I saw him just a while ago. Is Mr. Edem Andah. Started his legal career as state counsel, rising early to become associate director of criminal prosecutions and litigations. He joined Shell Nigeria Development and Production Company as legal advisor and contracts draftsman in 1989. He was a pioneer head of tax as Shell Nigeria Development Production Limited company. Beg your pardon. He did his first expatriation to Shell Expo UK. Mr. Andah also served as head of Shell Africa Oil Products tax between 2004 and 2007, based in Kenya. Mr. Andah's career has seen him work in the public and private sectors in Nigeria. After leaving Shell, Mr. Andah served as international tax manager with Baker Hughes UK Limited. He returned to Nigeria and served as partner as Ernst & Young, responsible for oil and gas tax services. In 2016, Mr. Andah became a tax partner with the Tier 1 commercial law firm Olatunji Abdulrazaq, and today is a lead consultant at Centurion Law. We're very happy and privileged to have you on this panel today. And I don't know if you can hear me, sir.
I can hear you very well. Thank you very much. I had initial technical problems, but I think it's all sorted now. Thanks for that introduction, and thank you to my fellow panelists.
Okay, thank you so much.
I hope you can hear me, Mike. Yep.
Yes, we can. We can. Thank you. Now that we've set the tone and we know exactly why each of the panelists is qualified to speak to us, and I also believe that if you've joined this session today, it is because you have some interest or the other in taxation or being a tax professional. So the first question I will be directing to Mr. Olatunji Abdulrazaq. I mean, not only because he's relatively young, I mean, I also think that in my experience or in the short time that I have served as that I was a member of the tax club of different universities, I know that he often frequents some of those conferences, you know, talking to people and just pushing the tax agenda. That, in your opinion, sir, do you think that there is a saturation of tax professionals in the market today? And I mean the Nigerian market. What's your view on that? Do you think that position is correct, that we have enough tax professionals and the market is saturated?
Okay, thank you very much. And I want to thank the organizers for having me again, you know, to share my views on certain issues. The Nigerian market is not saturated with respect to tax practice. It is not saturated because we have close to about 41 million micro, small, and medium enterprise in Nigeria. And currently, if my statistic is not wrong, maybe anybody can correct me, I'm sure we have about close to 30,000 or above 30,000 to 30 to 35,000, you know, tax practitioners. So the market is still there. Even if somebody should set up a tax firm today, you will still get your market share, because I don't think all the 41 million SMEs, you know, are well served. So that's my opinion on this question. So it is not saturated at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, I mean, I would like to hear the regulator's view on this. Mr. Allu Dogara earlier introduced himself as an official who works with the Federal Inland Revenue Service. So, in your opinion, do you think that the tax profession or the market today is saturated?
Good morning, Mr. Allu Dogara. I think the market is not yet saturated, because as a tax, as a person working in FIRS, we know that some businesses still lack the skills on taxations, because some of them doesn't even know how to file. Some are still struggling with some issues regarding to tax legislations and other things. So the market is not yet saturated. The market is still open. There's a lot to be done in taxation regards to the business people, the medium business, especially the medium businesses, to know the intricacies that are involved in paying taxes, because there are still a lot of gaps. As a tax collector, I know that some people are not still doing things right, and if we have more competent tax professional, I think the market is still open and not saturated yet. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for that reaction. Again, so we've learned that we have a market of over 41 million SMEs, and there are barely 30,000 tax professionals. So, I mean, going by those statistics alone, that the market is definitely not saturated. I mean, so there are so many young people today, and Mr. Andah, I'm coming to you, especially because you have a background in law, and I don't know that math is, the forte for most lawyers. Like, and most people, when they think tax or tax profession, they're just thinking math, they're thinking numbers, and they even disqualify themselves before trying it. A lot of people, I went to Obafemi Law University, for instance, and tax wasn't the easiest course to pass, right? And most people, basically, even if they have an interest in taxation, but because of the way it's taught in the university, a lot of people avoid taxation either as a course or as a profession. So my question to you is taxation or the tax profession limited to accountants, or do you have to be a math guru to succeed as a tax professional?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and thank you to my co-panelists. I also want to say congratulations to the promoters of this panel. This is this program. This is very timely. And perhaps before I answer your question, I would just want to chip in one or two things to the earlier point made by my colleagues. Quickly, the population of taxpayers in this country, it's over 70 million. So you can also be so certain that the market is not saturated. Secondly, if you were to look at the tax to GDP ratio of Nigeria, in the past 5-10 years, it's been hovering around 6% or 6.3%. So there's a lot of depth and scope, a lot to be done. So we're looking at a market that I would say is in its infancy. So, and to come to your question with respect to whether tax is left for dedicated to accountants, no, I wouldn't say so. Okay, although the history of this practice in Nigeria has been that the accountants were always at the forefront, and taxation is essentially not just compliance. It's not just about mathematics. It's not about counting the numbers or what people say the peanuts. It starts from the law. It starts from the law, and we need lawyers. And at every opportunity, I've said to lawyers to come on board, because we need to look at the law. And the law is informed by policy, a policy which is articulated by clear-minded people like lawyers. So I'm not suggesting that the others are not relevant. They're all very relevant. And tax is such a broad area. And if you look at the scope of tax, running from corporate tax, employee tax, estate planning, international tax, litigation, mergers and acquisition, you can see that there's room for everyone. And in my experience, I have come across the most unlikely people participating in tax. If you go to the UK or to the US or to France, you'll see that lawyers are very active.
Oh, I think that we lost Mr. Andah.
I mean, okay. I can still hear you, though. I can still hear you.
Okay.
Am I back?
Please proceed, sir. Yes. We can hear
okay.
You
I don't know what you heard last, but I'm basically saying that tax is not mathematics. Although in compliance, you might have to do a bit of number crunching. Tax proceeds from policy, tax descends into law, and you need lawyers there. And I was just basically trying to conclude to say that even in Nigeria now, you have people who studied biochemistry, people who did zoology, who are in the big 4 consulting firms, and they're doing tax. And logical in thinking, and I see all those qualities with lawyers.
Yes, thank you so much for that. I don't know if Mr. Andah has concluded yet, because there was a bit of... So, I mean, I think in summary, we can agree that lawyers are relevant in the tax profession because, according to Mr. Andah, tax proceeds from the law, and you also need policy to influence the law, and lawyers are or litter the entire tax profession, from the big 4 and to law firms and practicing in-house. And I just wanted to move on from that conversation. So while I was speaking, or while Mr. Andah was speaking, we're joined by one of the panelists, Dr. Oluseyi Olanrewaju. I will just breeze through his profile, and then I can move to the next panelist to react to the question. So Dr. Oluseyi Olanrewaju is currently the Chief Financial Officer at Mixter Nigeria and Partner. He has held various roles in multinational organizations, including ExxonMobil, PwC, Zenith Bank PLC, MTN Nigeria, General Electric, Internet Solutions, Konga Online Shopping, and Vodacom Business Nigeria. He is a fellow of the ICANN, CITN, and several other professional organizations. He's a graduate of Yaba College of Technology and obtained a BSc in accounting from Oxford Brookes University, an MBA from Lagos State University, an MSc Finance from University of Leicester, and a PhD accounting from Charisma University. We're very happy and privileged to welcome you to the panel, Dr. Olanrewaju. If you're there, sir, you can just quickly say a few words to the attendees. I don't know if Dr. Olanrewaju can hear me. Okay, while we wait for Dr. Olanrewaju, I'll move on to Mrs. Ajala. You run strictly law business, so I know clearly you can speak to the importance of specialization and upskilling. So, in your opinion, and for young professionals, do you think it is such a great idea to immediately after leaving the university, or for lawyers, the law school, to start to carve a niche for oneself? I mean, especially because you don't become an expert on a subject. You don't become a subject matter expert, immediately after you leave the university, right? Is it such a great idea to specialize immediately after leaving university? Or, I mean, even if you don't think that is the case, what are the advantages of specialization and upskilling?
Thank you, Shion. So I think that specialization, it can be overemphasized. It's very good. It's important. But, to your question on should professionals, particularly your lawyers, should they specialize immediately after the university, immediately after becoming, lawyers? I think that because it's important that the moment you finish, whether as a profession, as a lawyer, or in whatever practice you are, whatever profession you are, I think it's better to learn the ropes, understand the dynamics of the particular industry, and I'm going to be speaking, specifically to lawyers, understand the dynamics of the legal industry, move around various aspects or various areas of law, And then with those experiences, you will be able to understand or know or decipher the particular area you are more comfortable with, where you want to develop, more competence and then grow your specialization. Is specialization good? Absolutely very good, particularly in times of business, in the business world. It's what a specialist will be paid. A specialist will be able to command higher, professional fees than a generalist, because a generalist, it is assumed that you just know, the basics. You're not an expert in that area, and so there will be a limit to the professional advice or the opinions you'll be able to give. But as a specialist who, knows a whole lot within that industry, then you would be able to command more in terms of professional fees. Is it good to specialize at the beginning of your career? I wouldn't agree with that, except if while at the university, you've been able to prepare yourself, you've been able to do a whole lot of work, you've been able to do a lot of research to know, and then you are very sure and determined that this is the area in which you want to specialize in. But it is good as a lawyer to know almost every aspect of law, and then you get your specialization, you build your specialization in 2 or 3 areas of law. And so I say, yes, specialization is very good, it's very fantastic. But at the beginning of your career, I wouldn't advise or encourage you specialize immediately. I would say it's better to go across all the areas of the law practice, learn the ropes, be comfortable, get comfortable with different areas of law, and then you can decide which area you want to go, you want to grow your specialization. Because the truth is, when you are an expert or you are known, in a particular field as a specialist in that industry or in that field, you'll be able to command more in terms of profit, in terms of professional fees. And I am big on profits, I'm big on income. So I would say specialization is good for us, and but then get competence in other areas before you decide which area you want to specialize in.
Yeah, thank you so much for your insights. I agree that today clients are looking for subject matter experts. It wouldn't just, I don't think it cuts it anymore that because you're tier 1, then clients will automatically rush to you. Some clients still go to, yes, they go to boutique law firms, who have demonstrated expertise on a subject matter. So the specialization is in fact very good. Thank you for that. So I'll move to Dr. Olanrewaju. I earlier gave or read out your profile. For you, sir, I would like to ask what exactly sparks you. Seeing that you're a tax scholar yourself, I'm sure you don't agree that tax is such a boring subject. So what exactly keeps your motivation to be the tax professional that you are today?
Thank you very much, the moderator. I've been having some network issues at my end, so I miss most of what my other colleagues have spoken on. But to go straight to your question, I will tell you that gone are the days where tax is monotonous and tiring and boring. A lot is happening now in the tax space, that the knowledge of yesterday, if you are not careful, will not be sufficient for you today. A major thing that is happening in the tax space is the new Finance Act, that keep changing some of our old laws that we can say are old, obsolete, and archaic. So what you see in the last 2 years is that some of these old laws have been changed or tweaked by the new Finance Act. And you can also see the play of technology in tax administration and practice. I mean, the recent one is the ProMast news platform. So for me, it's no longer boring. It's becoming dynamic. It's becoming, an ink theme. You also hear many scholars saying taxation is the new oil. So, I mean, a lot of focus is coming to tax now, which have not been there before now. So we are in for an interesting time, in the tax space. Yeah.
Yes. So can you hear me
Cheryl, are
now?
you
I
back?
think I'm back on.
We can.
Yes.
Yes.
I think yes, I'm back on. So Dr. Olanrewaju, I'm not sure I heard most of it, but I think a follow-on question to that is, in your opinion, how exactly can people develop, or for somebody who's just setting out, who's just looking to specialize, what's your advice for somebody who's just setting out in tax? What exactly do you think are the top skills that they should pay attention to, if you want to excel in tax? Do you think that the way to easily set yourself apart is it through a higher degree, for instance, or do you think it is by getting certified by a professional body, or a little bit of both? So some people are, torn between those two options today. Either to go for further studies or to be certified by a professional body, ICANN, ACCA, along those, or the CITN, right? Or is it a bit of both?
Thank you very much. For me, tax is a specialized area, and I would say for anyone that wants to go into it, that will really succeed. Number one, there must be passion. You must love tax. You must understand the language of tax and all that, because it's a specialized area. Then I will also say that for such an individual, if you really want to understand the nitty-gritty, then you must also learn from people, either through articleship or through mentoring or coaching, so that you understand the act of tax. I tell people tax is not for everybody. It's for people that have passion for it and are ready to be focused and specialize in it. So that passion, that articleship is very key. Then you also mentioned something about certification. The world is changing. Gone are the days where to run in a specialized environment, you don't need to be certified. But in these days and time, you need to actually be certified. We've seen circulars from Federal Inland Revenue. We've seen circular from state internal revenue services saying that it's only people that have certain qualification that will be able to practice tax. So for me, I would say for you to be able to practice and be the professional that you have, that is important to also get certification of any of the professional that you have mentioned. One that is very pronounced in Nigeria for taxation is the CITN, and of course, ICANN is also there, ACCA and the rest of them. So being certified makes you a professional to the core, and you're able to do filing on behalf of your clients and all that, and you'll be recognized. So that would be my advice for anybody. And you cannot also undermine the place of articleship, learning the role of taxation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm sure the attendees are taking notes. So I'm going to go back to Olatunji Abdulrazaq. I know that you've worked with very reputable brands. What do you think? And I mean, in my experience as well, once you have certain names on your CV, HR just thinks deductively that if he was good enough for that organization, then he's good enough for us. So for young and for tax professionals, how important is it to have certain brand names on your CV? Again, this is Tax Inspire Conference. This is sort of like a live mentoring program. That is how I see it. So there is no point reinventing the wheel. So we can learn from your errors, from your mistakes, or what do you think you should have done? If you could do it all over again, what do you think you would have done differently? So is it by starting out doing the internships? And I hear Dr. Olanrewaju saying, and I think Mrs. Ajala as well, that you should learn the ropes. So you should usually start out, doing internships. Or I mean, what exactly do you think the approach should be for you to be that ideal tax professional?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Moderator. Well, like I said, I'm going to use my own personal experience because I don't believe in in theories. I don't believe in theories, so I'm going to share my own life experience in terms of what inspired me and what can also inspire young tax professional. Back in the days when I was in the university, I took interest in taxation from my second year at the university, and my thesis was actually on tax. You know the usual practice those days when people just go to other universities, to copy and paste um, project and the likes. So I actually, and my project was actually supervised by a PhD holder in the person of Dr. Iwarere. I think he's now a professor. So, during that stage, I'm able to, understand what it is about in terms of research, understanding some certain, laws in taxation, and then to actually, understand that yes, tax is actually a specialized area. Let me borrow from the medical area, where we have this medical general practice, we also have surgeons. So as we have accountants, economists, and lawyers who are into taxation, tax is like you are specializing. It's like, looking at the area of medical practice and say, oh, yes, you are a surgeon. So it's a very, very specialized area. For example, after my project, I joined EY, I joined Ernst & Young, briefly, though I was in audit, but I wasn't enjoying audit, and I told them, look, I want to move to tax. And my managers keep telling me, oh, you are very good in audit. Why do you want to move to tax? And I said, look, this is what I want. So after back and forth, and it wasn't coming through, I was lucky to got an opportunity with Schlumberger to be their tax accountant. And from there, I also developed interest in writing articles. I think currently I have about 6 published articles in international journals. So what I'm saying in essence is that, one, just like my senior colleagues, earlier mentioned, you must have passion for it. You must be able to, ready to learn, because things are actually changing, and it's changing really, really fast. So if you want to specialize in tax, one, you need a mentor, you need, a coach, and then you also need to be determined and focus in the sense that you must be able to keep yourself abreast of things happening in the tax environment, because a lot are happening these days. FIRs are more aggressive. Mr. Allu Dogara, I know you can hear that. FIRs are more aggressive now, in terms of, revenue generation, and the oil revenue is gradually dwindling. So they are more focused on tax. Like my senior colleague said, tax is the new oil. So that's just it. I think tax is the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed. Tax is the future. And just to piggyback off of that, I will be going to Mr. Andah. So, Mr. Andah, again, I strongly believe that the easiest way, and I think Mr. Abdulrazaq also mentioned this, the easiest way to become an expert on a subject matter is not by talking about it only, is actually by writing about it. Do you agree, first of all? And how important is it for aspiring tax professionals to cultivate that habit of publishing, and then especially on topical issues, and trying to further push the scholarship around taxation and in Nigeria?
Thank you, Sean. I couldn't agree more with what my colleagues have said. You need the passion. You need to dirty your hands, and do the job. You need to be reading, because it's such a dynamic area. Things are changing. Today, we are using technology, and you see how the digital economy is moving. So obviously, some people have to be there. Ideas move the world. As I noticed, it's a very challenging environment. We need people to continue to think and articulate their views, of course, share their experiences, and carry out research. And as we all know, there are bodies out there doing research in several areas. Tax, apart from being specialized, it's a very broad area, very, very broad area. Where are you specializing in? As my colleagues have said, yeah, you have to learn the ropes, but at some point in time, you want to specialize. Are you specializing in international tax? Are you specializing in corporate tax, benefits tax? These all need you being very focused, open-minded, doing research, publishing what you've researched, sharing information. Thought leadership couldn't be underplayed. It's important. So I totally agree with Abdulrazaq that this is very important, and it has to complement all the other things. And there are very many institutions currently carrying out research in these areas. OECD, for instance, has been doing a lot of work, and I'm sure we've all been following up on what is happening on BEPS, the base erosion, and of course, we also know there's economic significance thing, a theory going on. People need to think and write about it. And all I would say at this point is that we must use our ideas, our challenges, our thoughts, our problems, present and publish on those areas. Of course, advanced knowledge in taxation.
Thank you so much.
Let me leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your reaction to that. And I think yourself and Mr. Abdulrazaq have indeed hit the nail on the head. And I will move on to Mrs. Ajala on this very important subject. So for me, I'm just wondering that when you're setting out, or what do you think when HR is trying to hire either tax administrators or tax professionals? What are those specific things that you would look out for? So for your organization, if you're advising any other organization, what exactly is that value add that the candidate must bring to the table that will stand them out from other candidates in the market, especially for a tax role?
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Moderator. Going by what my other panelists have said, so it's important if you are applying for a tax role, it's important. Then I want to assume that you already are certified, in that field. You're not just a learner. You are not a beginner in that field. You are specialized by way of getting some certification from either the CITN, ICANN, as was mentioned. It's important that is in place. It's also important that you're coming on board with some requisite experience. For tax is a specialized role, and so and then depending also on the organization and their outcome. So you may want to hire, an expert, or you may want to hire an intermediate, someone who has an intermediate, experience level as far as tax is concerned. So depending on the role, that would also determine if you want to bring somebody on board as, an advanced, expert in that field, intermediate, or someone who has just the basic knowledge and skills. Having said that, I also think that it is important that, or it should come with the role or with the expertise that a tax professional or someone who is vying for a tax role should be someone who has some high level of organizational skills and attention to details, because that is very, very important. If you do not, now we'll be talking about figures, we'll be talking about numbers, as much as there are other aspects of tax also, but the figures, the numbers are quite important. So you need someone who has great organizational skills and someone who gives a lot of attention to details. Someone who is calm, who has the ability to stay calm on the job, and can come with a whole lot of attention to details, who is highly skilled at that particular aspect of taxation. And I mean also, I know that there are different aspects to taxation, and also you want to be sure that you're getting someone who has requisite experience in that particular aspect of taxation, and someone who knows his own onions teachable, also teachable, and has the willingness and readiness to learn at all times, because I mean there's no end to knowledge, and so you have to keep updating yourself and keep upskilling, getting more knowledge, and also knowing what is available in the international market, not just the Nigerian market now, but as well as the international market as far as tax is concerned. So you want to ensure that you get someone who is always up to date, who is ready to keep updating his or her knowledge as far as tax is concerned.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So organizational skills is definitely top of that. Knowledge of the subject and commercial awareness, just being aware of what the trends are in your industry. Thank you so much. So Mr. Dogara, I think this is a perfect opportunity to tell the other tax professionals how they can make your life easier. As a regulator, what do you think, that tax professionals should do? What exactly? I mean, I heard you complain that some people still don't know how to file tax return appropriately. Are there places to look? Are there resources that they can learn from? Do you have to be in? Do you have to learn this from somewhere? Again, I think the other thing that is important is that you decided to go the way of the regulator rather than work for Schlumberger or for EY or PwC. What exactly was the inspiration for you? Sometimes people who are very policy minded, myself included, I definitely am excited whenever I have to write policies, and that's the reason I would want to consider working for government. But then so I'm sorry for that little network glitch. So the last point I was making is, do you, from the perspective of someone on the inside, do you think that the FIRS or any government agency, they are very open-minded and open to change? That if for somebody who is motivated, who wants to join the government, wouldn't are those ideas taken on board? And is it something that you encourage other people to do, that working for the government in that regard?
Thank you very much, the moderator. Tax profession is a noble profession that one need to be honest, at least, and in tax profession, you need to have a little bit of knowledge of tax laws, and also you need to also be to understand the business environment. And in FIRS, we know the environment of tax is not yet saturated, and I know that we encourage people like tax professionals to still go into other areas. They are welcome. There are still a lot to explore in tax, in terms of collection of taxes, and professionals have to be rounded, to educate and make people know that yes, these are the nitty-gritty that are involved in tax practice. And taxation is something that is not a close-ended something. We have stakeholders, so we still have collaborations with other experts in order to allow us to perform well. So other professionals are welcome in collection of tax. As tax administration, we collaborate with other stakeholders that are professionals in helping to collect our tax. So I will say that FRS we are still open to professionals that are still interested in taxations, and we believe that they can help us in many other ways to be able to make our work easier if they have the requisite knowledge and they have the requisite skills that are being used in collection of taxes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So in the interest of time, I think I will just look through the comments to see if there are any questions directed to any of the panelists. And I think if you have any questions, now is the time, so that we can round this off. So I see a question here about specialization. I beg your pardon. How would that apply to a young lawyer who works as an in-house counsel with a company? That in itself sets the work trajectory of the lawyer's career at the onset. So I don't know if anyone here would like to react. Mr. Abdulrazaq, and seeing that you've worked, or Dr. Oluseyi, seeing that you've worked in-house at some point, how would you react to this? Mr. Abdulrazaq, do you want to take that? Should I take the question?
Thank you. So if I'm to react to that,
yes,
and I think I picked it. So I said, if I'm to react to that, the first question I'm going to ask is that if you look at the practice of tax, we have the legal part of it, the law, and we have the accounting part of it. So the first question I will ask the gentleman or gentle lady is to say, the tax firm where is working, are they also doing tax? So if they are not doing tax, then the probability of him being able to do tax subsequently will be a bit difficult. So he needs to look for a law firm or a tax firm where they actually practice tax for him to be able to learn and be able to position himself for future, focusing on tax. That's what I want to add there.
Thank you so much.
I think I'd like to also say, speak to that question.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. I think the first thing I would say is, and I'm going to share from my experience. I was very clear at the beginning of my career on where I wanted to work, and even as far as the location was concerned also. So I had set goals for myself that when it comes to, the location of my, my employer's office or wherever, I'm not going beyond this location. So if you tell me that there are jobs in Lekki, in Victoria Island, I had pegged my location to Lagos Island, Ikoyi, and I wasn't going to go outside of those, jurisdictions. So I think, again, one of the things you need to understand is if you actually are interested in tax or you want to specialize in tax, then you have to seek for firms, organizations, entities that that is what they specialize in, or that is what they do. So you have to be very clear and intentional. You have to be very clear and intentional about the places you want to work, such that if there are opportunities in other places, you would turn it down because you are clear, on your goals, on your career goals. So you have to gain that clarity on the exact place you want to work, and based on that, based on that clarification, you will then be able to scout for organizations or law firms that would give you the opportunity to gain knowledge in tax and grow your specialization in that area. Now, as your in-house counsel, the die has been cast, so I assume you're already working in some place, but what can you do going forward to get into that tax space you want to operate in? You can, one of the things you can do is, put yourself out there, especially on LinkedIn, as a tax enthusiast. Show interest in anything about tax. Begin to write articles, like has been said before, in that area, such that at the end of the day, when recruiters are looking for, or HR consultants are looking for professionals or are looking for people who can occupy or fill a role in that area, you will be identified and you can be reached out to, and that's one way you'll be able to get the necessary that's one way you'll be able to get a role, either within an organization or a law firm. So just show a lot of enthusiasm in tax, show interest, build your interest, and demonstrate, make yourself visible. Demonstrate the fact that you have knowledge and you also want to begin to play in that industry or in that particular area.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think Mr. Abdulrazaq, so that we can round the session off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you once again. Like I said, I always like to share practice, practical experience I have a mentee whom I believe is also, in this session. He actually showed interest in tax, but unfortunately, maybe at the beginning of his career, he couldn't get, an opportunity, with any particular firm, to practice, tax. So one of the things I told him that you just show interest, go on LinkedIn, do research, write on tax, and then I can assure you, you're going to get something. So, at least he took my advice and he started writing some topics on VAT, personal income tax. And to be honest with you, within 6 months, somebody, from LinkedIn inbox him and say, look, I have an opportunity for you, to, in our tax unit, that's an industry now, in our tax unit, to come and, join us, to come and join our team. So just like my colleague said, Mrs. Ajala, like she mentioned, you need to show interest. You need to write, because the truth about it is that, like I said, you need to be more realistic. If you are saying people must wait till they get opportunity in a tax environment, what if it doesn't come? Because the first thing is the survival instinct. Whatever you can get, at least get hold of it first, so that at least you can survive, you can sustain yourself. Then, start showing interest in those particular areas that, you want to specialize on. So to cut this story short, the guy currently works, in a tax firm at the moment. And, that's just to show you that those are things that are realistic. Because if you keep saying, I want to wait, I have to get, a job in Big Four, I have to wait for EY, I have to wait for look, time is going and time is not on your side. So why not get something first, get something doing, and eventually, once that opportunity opens up, you can then take advantage of it. So that's my own contribution with respect to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdulrazaq. It has indeed been a wonderful session. I thank you, Dr. Olanrewaju, Mr. Dogara, Mrs. Ajala, and again, Mr. Abdulrazaq. It's been, you've been very helpful, sharing your personal experiences as well. I will now hand over to the moderator. Okay, I see Mr. Andah has joined. Thank you, Mr. Andah, as well, for this wonderful session. I would hand over to the compare so that we can take this forward.